that introduction makes me sound very old. So, but thank you very much, Ian and Joe. I won't never get used to saying tugboat, so don't worry about that. I'm thrilled to be here. I am a Sigma Pi brother. I am also chairman of the New Jersey Sharing Network. So this is exciting for me to be back, and I don't believe that half of the people are sleeping here. So we're going to try to get you up here and talk to you about a very important message today. So I pledged Sigma Pi back in 1992 with the Epsilon Psi chapter, Widener University. Sigma Pi is no longer at Widener University, unfortunately, but I will tell you that some of the things you're doing here today, what you're learning today, the quest for excellence really is true. So I didn't realize it at the time, the foundation that I was building and the bonds that I was building too. You guys are sitting next to each other, and I promise you, this is a picture of our annual ski trip to Killington that we still do 20 years later, right? There's countless birthday parties and sporting events and golf trips, fishing trips, you name it, that we're still together. And that's really what Sigma Pi is to me. It's the leadership, the quest for excellence that you're learning here today, as well as the brotherhood and the bonds that you're going to have the rest of your life. So it's very exciting. And I'm excited for you, and I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be part of two organizations that are very purpose-driven, have very clear missions, Sigma Pi and New Jersey Sharing Network. Sigma Pi, we talk about the quest for excellence, the mission of advancing man's quest, right? The core values of promoting fellowship, character, leadership, inspiring service. I sat in your seat. This is where my foundation started in terms of inspiring service that allowed me and prepared me for work with the New Jersey Sharing Network. The New Jersey Sharing Network, by way of introduction, its mission is to save and enhance lives through the miracle of organ donation. There's no greater purpose or cause that you could have to save another one's life, to help other people. That's what the New Jersey Sharing Network does through organ donation. It's a OPO, which is an organ procurement organization. They are a nonprofit. They're responsible for the recovery and placement of organs here in the state of New Jersey, as well as throughout the country. So organ donation, right? As I got into it, I didn't know much about organ donation 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And I always had, when I got and talked to people, I always hear the same things. They either don't know much about it, they don't hear about it, they don't think about it, or even worse, they're misinformed about it. So that's what we're going to do today. Really what I want to do, and when I say organ donation, people think death, people think dying. They have negative connotations with that. And what I want to do is really recast the way we think about organ donation. To me, it's the gift of life. This is what we're talking about. This is what organ donation is about. It's about life. I've met a number of people in my time that are up here today. Sam, 8-year-old boy, was having medical problems, couldn't do the normal things that 8-year-old boys do, had trouble walking up the stairs and turning blue when he walked up the stairs. Unfortunately, Sam needed a heart transplant. Right? This is a picture of Sam last year at our 5K after a heart transplant. Right? That is the gift of life. The woman down here, Shari, she's a colleague of mine at Oakley. She was 31 years old, getting ready for her wedding. She had a medical emergency. She woke up in the hospital, and the doctor said, "You have 7 days to live." She was planning her life, planning her future. She was making arrangements to getting married, thinking about her future, and doctor told her she had 7 days to live. She received the gift of life. She received the liver that she needed. And not only did she get married and become the miracle bride, as they showed in the newspaper, but now she has a family. That's the gift of life. Charity, right on top of her, is an international opera singer. Charity has received not one, but 2 double lung transplants. Charity just put out her first album. That's the gift of life. This guy in the corner here, this is Jim, a good friend of mine. He was my English teacher and high school football coach at Milburn High School. He had complications with his medication and needed to have a transplant, and now he has also received the gift of life. He's able to enjoy his time with his grandkids, with his own kids and his wife. And he tells a story about sitting around a holiday table, and really that's what his donor family had given him, is that precious gift. I wanted to introduce somebody very special up in the corner here, Joe. And Joe is another perfect example. I thought I'd let Joe come up and share his story.
Thank you, Peter. So my name is Joe DeSanta. I'm 20 years old. I'm a junior here at Monmouth University. I'm also a volunteer at the Sharing Network and a heart transplant recipient. So when I was 11 years old, I went to the doctors for a physical, for a checkup for baseball, basketball, and football camps. I had to get some forms signed by the doctor. And while I was there, he was doing his regular checkup, and he realized that my heart rate was about 120 beats per minute. And a resting rate was around 60 or 70 beats per minute. So my heart rate was about twice what the normal rate should have been. He didn't want to really go ahead with anything because he was just a pediatrician. So they sent me to a cardiologist where they diagnosed me with dilated cardiomyopathy, which is an enlarged heart. So the cardiologist had said, 5 years down the road, if nothing changes, we'll put you on the transplant list and we'll kind of go from there. So I was put on a whole bunch of heart medications, about 10 medications I had to take every day. And that was really tough because as an 11, 12-year-old kid, I was just a couple weeks earlier playing baseball, basketball, and football. As I'm sure a lot of you guys in here know, as an 11-year-old kid, sports were everything to me. So I really the doctors had said, no more sports, you really just got to take it easy until anything changes or improves. So, like I said, that was really tough to handle as an 11-year-old guy. So 10 months after my diagnosis, so this is June of 2005, so 10 months after that, I went into cardiac arrest. So that's basically a heart attack. My parents brought me to the hospital earlier that day, so I was already in the hospital when I went into cardiac arrest. From there, I was rushed to the Children's Hospital of New York, where I was placed on a BiVAD, which is a machine that was a bridge to transplantation, and it was hopefully going to keep me alive and keep me alive until I could get the transplant. But a big problem was that it was an adult's machine, and I was an 11-year-old boy, and I really wasn't big enough and strong enough to be in this machine. So I had some complications with the machine. One of the side effects of this machine was that it would set off blood clots, and I suffered about 4 or 5 strokes while I was on the machine in the hospital. And while I was on the machine, about 4 or 5 hearts came that were available, but they weren't matches. But on July 8th, 2006, I was given a second chance at life. My donor, Natalie, saved my life with my heart transplant, and she saved the lives of, I think, 4 or 5 other people. And I'm thankful every single day for the gift that her and her mother gave me. Because without her registering to be an organ donor, without her mother convincing her to be an organ donor, I wouldn't be here to talk to you guys. And, I can't thank her enough, I can't thank her mother enough. We were fortunate enough to meet her mother a couple of years back, and, the emotions in that room were incredible. Because it's tough to just say thank you for, giving me my life back and my family my life back. So post-transplant, I'm obviously in college. I participate in the transplant games, which is kind of an Olympic-style event where transplant recipients can participate in things like basketball and swimming and track and field. So for me, that was really awesome to be able to, go from having to stop all my sports and then going to be able to compete in sports again. That was really, really incredible for me. And I'm a volunteer at the Sharing Network, which is great because it gives me the opportunity to talk to groups of people, and I can share my story and hopefully change some minds. So currently in New Jersey, there's about 5,000 people, a little over that on the waiting list, and nationwide there's about 100,000 over that actually. So I really encourage you guys to become organ donors, and I hope my story has changed your perspective a little bit about transplantation and about, kind of some of the negative myths that might be out there. So I'll hand it back over to Peter.
Thank you, Joe. I think, you talk about organ donation and the gift of life. I think, that's a perfect example of gift of life and what we're talking about today. So thank you, Joe. So a couple questions for you guys. What % of people are able to actually go on and to become organ donors? Anybody want to take a guess? Is it 100%? Is it 50%, 10%? What percent? Just call it out. 100%? 80%? 75? Somebody yell from the back. Let me hear you. 30%, thank you. Less than 1%. Less than 1% of all the deaths actually qualify to become organ donors. It's a very, very rare occurrence. You have to be in a hospital, on a ventilator, blood and oxygen going through your body to make sure that those organs are suitable for transplantation. So it's a very, very rare thing and special thing when somebody's able to give the gift of life. Another question for you. Such a rare thing, something that we focus on is raising awareness and getting people to register to become organ donors. What do you think our national goal is for those 18 and older to become registered as organ donors? Is it 100%, 50%? 100%, right? If we could get 50%, we're striving for 50%. If we get 50% of the US population, 18 and older, become registered organ donors, that's going to help us tremendously. So who do we have in here from Pennsylvania? Raise your hand. Pennsylvania, anybody? One? All right, one person. How about New York? New York, all right, New York. New Jersey? A whole bunch, of course. Anywhere else?
Puerto Rico.
Vermont, Puerto Rico. Very good. Let's take a look how each of you are doing in your own backyard in terms of registration. Now remember, national goal is 50%. This is Pennsylvania right here, 45%. New Jersey over here, the last one in yellow, 36%. New York, only 22% of New York is registered as organ tissue donors. We've got a tremendous amount of work to do right here in our own backyard. We're far, far from the national average. And we talked about only less than 1% go on. Right? We need to do a lot of work to get more people to register as organ and tissue donors. Anybody watch the Super Bowl? Yeah? This year was, anybody at the Super Bowl? No, me neither. 63,000 people fit into Phoenix Stadium. 63,000 jam-packed in that stadium. The current waiting list, 123,000 people. 123,000 people around the country are currently waiting for an organ. That's 2 stadiums. 2 stadiums we could fill up, and they're waiting. Only less than 1% are eligible. Only 22% are registered in New York. We've got a lot of people waiting. 21, anybody know what this number is? Blackjack? How old do you have to be to register? No, 18 to register. This is the number of the people that are going to die today, waiting for an organ. These are the number of people that are going to pass away. Time is going to run out for them. We talked about 123,000, two stadiums worth. 21 of them are going to pass away today. This is my father, also Peter Rooney. He was a diabetic patient, also a chronic kidney disease patient, which meant his kidneys were failing, and he needed dialysis and a transplant to sustain his life. When we spoke to his nephrologist, we went through this education, much like everybody else, we didn't know much about renal failure. We knew nothing about dialysis, and we knew absolutely nothing about transplants. But we did find out how special my dad was. My dad he was a blood type O negative, which means you're a universal donor. You can give to anybody, but you can only receive from other O negatives, which made it impossible for anybody in his family to give him an organ. So my father had to go on the waiting list. My father, for 32 years, was a Milburn firefighter. Anybody from Milburn? No? Okay. A Milburn firefighter. On the job, his nickname was the Book. And they called him the Book because he'd like to sit up by the dispatch station, and he would literally answer the call when it came into the station. He'd answer the call, signal the alarm, dispatch his platoon, jump in a truck, and race off to help somebody who was calling for help. Somebody that didn't know, in harm's way, and many times facing life and death circumstances. For 32 years, he devoted his work in his life to helping and saving others. After 4 years on dialysis and on and off the list because of illness, he passed away at dialysis. He had a heart attack and passed away. His call for help was never answered. Now, that's an unfortunate story, but unfortunately, it's also not a unique story. Every day, 21 people are passing away, just like my dad. And that's what we're here to do today. That we're here to get that message out. We're here to share that message with you. I got one more story for you. Just show of hands. Does anybody know who Cameron is? This is a fellow Sigma Pi brother of ours. And I have a brief video, it's about a 4-minute video, a brief video here to share Cameron's story with you.
He pledged Sig Pi when he first got there. You know, he did get offers from some other fraternities, but not from Sig Pi. And that was what he was focused on.
He wanted to be a part of that fraternity. It was really, really important to him. He felt that he always called them the gentlemen. And he felt that the gentleman of Sigma Pi was what he wanted to be associated with.
Cameron is everything you want a Sigma Pi to be. He gave everything to the house. There was nothing he would not do. There was nothing too big or too small for him. He loved it.
He had an ability to make people feel better about themselves.
He just had a lot of his dad's personality, which is, just super outgoing and inclusive and loving. I was amazed at how magnetic he was, but he was so comfortable. But I answered the phone, and it was one of the girls that was one of the young women that was on the bus. And she had said that there had been an accident. We didn't realize the extent of their injuries.
And we come to the emergency room, and we saw hundreds of kids just hanging outside. Cameron's fraternity brothers, Cameron's friends, Cameron's all, and and actually there were so many kids there. The reason they were outside is the hospital kicked them out of the emergency room. There was not enough room inside in the emergency room for all these kids. I mean, they were all respectfully milling around outside. And it wasn't until I saw that, and I was like, oh, hokey smokes, it kind of hit me. I was like, oh, this is a lot worse than I thought. It didn't cross my mind that he wouldn't be coming home. And did we talk about, organ donation? I'm sure we did.
Cameron had taken all appropriate steps to be an organ donor.
So I am grateful that that was a decision I didn't have to make.
Really, this has offered us hope. I mean, we have something to hold on to, the loss of our son, that it keeps us going. It offers us, hope for the future.
I know the immediate lives that Cameron impacted. I know there's 5 people alive.
Cameron's involvement with the organ donation, the tissue donation, the Donate Life program after his passing, to me, it's his legacy. It was really only a matter of time until he made a mark on the world. He was that kind of guy. He's worth it. The program's worth it, you know, the philanthropy worth it, Sigma Pi is worth it. And with what they can do with this program, if they do it right, which I hope they do, they can expand the Gift of Hope, they can expand Donate Life, they can expand Sigma Pi all at the same time. Not a lot of young men are walking around promoting saving lives like this. Not a lot of young men are taking time out of their days, even if it's 5 minutes to fill out an application for an organ donation or to talk to someone about it. And Sigma Pi is a group of men, leaders. That's what we want, that's what we are. And this is a perfect opportunity for them to take that, to be those leaders, to go out to their communities, to their schools, to the sororities, to even the other fraternities, and talk to them about what students can do. Please take it seriously, please do a good job with it, because it matters. It matters a lot.
Cameron being killed has just been a huge void. And this relationship with Donate Life, Gift of Hope, Sigma Pi, is giving us hope.
The gift of life, right? Cameron, I spoke to Cameron's parents last week. And I told them about today. I told them who I was meeting with, right? And I asked them, what message can I share? What message can I share with, Cameron's brothers? As they said in the video, they're young men, driven young men. What message can I share? And Lori, Cameron's mom, said, one thing they're so grateful for is that Cameron took the necessary steps. Cameron made his wishes known at the worst possible time for parents to have to make that decision. They didn't have to. Cameron made the decision for them, and they're eternally grateful for his courage to do that. Lori said, don't let parents have to make that decision if it comes to that. That was number one. The second thing that Cameron's parents told me is, you mentioned the bus accident. Cameron was on a double-decker bus that went under an overpass. He was over 6'5", I think. When the accident happened, the EMTs couldn't get to him. He was with his brothers. His brothers tried to resuscitate him, worked on him. EMTs couldn't get to him. His Sigma Pi brothers got him down off of the bus and was with him all the way to the hospital. His parents really appreciate and really respect the brotherhood that we have, and that their son was around people that he loved and brothers that he had the entire way. This is a story of life. This is a story about the gift of life. Cameron is a hero. Cameron went on to save 5 people. Cameron's mother has listened to Cameron's heart beating and keeping another person alive. A 52-year-old gentleman from Chicago who sends her Mother's Day cards every year. There's 5 people living. Cameron has enhanced the lives of over 50 people from the age of 7 to 70. So he is a hero. This is a story about the gift of life. This is a valuable lesson for me. This is a valuable lesson for all of us in the power of organ donation, the gift of life, but also what embodies the values of Sigma Pi and what we can do. We can do a lot of good partnering with Donate Life and the New Jersey Sharing Network. So just to conclude, 3 things. Number 1, hopefully you knew this was coming. Have a conversation. Have a conversation with your family, your parents, whether you're for or not for organ donation. Have the conversation. That's the most important thing that you can do. Register. If this is for you, if you've thought about it, it's not an easy decision. Register, become an organ donor. You can do it online. You can do it in your motor vehicle online at njsharingnetwork.org. You can do it outside. We have envelopes here. It'll take you 2 minutes to register. Jackie would be thrilled to get some people who are not registered today. And then finally, get involved. I couldn't be more excited about the 2 organizations that I'm involved with coming together. Sigma Pi, I'm not sure that it's rolled out yet, but I believe it's going to roll out very soon. Sigma Pi has adopted Donate Life Month, April, as its national cause, one of its national causes. All of the 118 chapters, I believe, are going to be required to do a service project, support Blue and Green Day on April 17th. We have a number of things at the New Jersey Sharing Network you can get involved with. We have a 5K race, the Gift of Life race, that's in Paramus, I'm sorry. And of course it's on the slide, right? April 12th, and then our marquee event in June in Providence at our headquarters. So there's a lot of ways to get involved. I think we just have a couple minutes. I first of all want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your courage, your leadership, your continued quest for excellence. I want to invite Joe back up and my other friend Jackie from the Sharing Network. We'll take a quick question or 2 if you have any. But thank you very much. Any questions?
Joe, what have you been able to do since you had your transplant?
So since the transplant, thanks Dad for the question. Since the transplant, like I said, I'm alive again. I'm in school right now. I can spend time with my family. Like I said, I participate in the transplant games, which are again Olympic-style events for transplant recipients, nationwide. And my quality of life has been incredible compared to my life prior to the transplant, where it was really limited to not really doing anything, pretty much.
In the video they said there's not a lot of young men walking around talking about donation and saving lives. You're going to be asked to do that. I love what Joe put up there before, the pictures, right? We want pictures of young men, young Sigma Pi men at our events working to save lives. Any other questions? Anything? Yes.
We've heard it before. I thought it was pretty powerful. I was wondering if you could share your relationship with the mother of the girl who donated to you, and maybe anything she might have said to you about that.
Yeah, so like I said, we met my donor's mother actually at the Sharing Network a couple of years ago. And it's tough because there's a language barrier. She only speaks Spanish, but every year around Christmas we send her a card and she sends us a card. We send them a card around the time when her daughter passed away. And it's kind of the same way. Like I said, it's more than just thank you, just for giving me my life back. It's hard to kind of put into words, what her daughter has done for me. And it's almost the same for her to say to me. It's a lot for her to take in and for us to take in. So when we met her, she listened to her daughter's heartbeat in my chest, which was really emotional. And I think that, for her, it's great for her to see that they made the right decision and that, I'm alive and I'm here to talk about it.
One more question?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.